on the concept of effective demand. The concept of effective demand is the basic point in the Keynesian theory of employment. Effective demand represents power and desire of purchasing goods and services. Effective demand, as the name itself suggests, it's a factor having wider impact on employment, production, investment, income, profit, and such other variables in the economy. The power to purchase the goods and service increases, production and supply will increase, employment will expand, capital will get a boost, people will get more income, and amount of the profits to the producer will rise. Thus, effective demand helps economic progress by activating the measure of employment, production, etc. According to Keynesian, an increase in effective demand will result in an increase in output, rise in the level of employment, and increase in income. On the contrary, scarcity of effective demand will lead to decline in output, level of output, and income. It was Keynesian idea that at any point of time, income and employment level in a country depend upon effective demand. Effective demand consists of two factors: consumption expenditure and investment expenditure. Consumer expenditure relates to the expenditure made by the people on the purchase of goods and services for the consumption. Investment expenditure refers to construction of new buildings, establishment of enterprises, installation of machineries, purchase of tools and implementation necessity for production, etc. in the economy. Investment in the economy involves expenditure of both these types. Total expenditure will be equal to total national income. This can be expressed with the help of following equation. Y will equal to C plus I. In the above equation, Y will equal to total national income. C stands for consumption expenditure. I represents investment expenditure. To put this in a different way, effective demand will be equal to national income, and national income equals to national product. According to Keynesian, effective demand determines employment, production, income in the economy. Lack of effective demand is the cause of unemployment. In turn, the gap between income and consumption is a reason for effective demand. Keynesian was the opinion of the demand lag behind, as consumption does not increase in the same rate as income. If this gap is not filled with an increase in investment, it will result in unemployment. Keynesian has said that total production in the economy is a result of effective demand. With a rise in effective demand, total production, total employment, aggregate investment, and other variables will increase. Hence, effective demand, as narrated by Keynesian, can be expressed as follows. Effective demand will equal to total production, will equal to total employment, will equal to total income, will equal to national expenditure, will equal to total expenditure on consumption goods. That will be equal to total expenditure on investment goods. That will be equal to again consumption plus investment expenditure. As later proposed by Keynesian and according to modern economists, government expenditure also plays an important role in the determination of effective demand. This implies that consumption expenditure, investment expenditure, and government expenditure taken together will determine effective demand. Thus, effective demand can be expressed through the following equation. ED will equal to C plus I plus G. In the above equation, ED will be equal to effective demand. C stands for consumption expenditure. I represents investment expenditure. G stands for government expenditure. The above equation indicates that effective demand is determined by household expenditure on consumption goods, investment expenditure of private enterprises, and government expenditure on consumption of goods and investment goods. Definition of effective demand. According to Keynesian, effective demand is determined by two factors. They are aggregate demand function and aggregate supply function. In his opinion, these are the two blades of the same scissors. Let us know how aggregate demand operates. Aggregate demand function refers to the total amount of income of all the entrepreneurs in the economy expect from the sale of their products at different levels of employment. This indicates the amount to be received by the entrepreneur in the sale of their output. If the products command adequate demand, they would be sold and entrepreneurs will get income. Aggregate demand function represents the amount of income that all the entrepreneurs in the economy are expected to receive from the sale of their products. Aggregate demand function can be also called aggregate demand of the economy at different levels of employment. To put it in a simple form, aggregate demand function is nothing but maximum income expected out of sale of the entire quantity of goods produced. Thus, aggregate demand function represents income of entrepreneurs. It is the amount of income expected from the sale of goods. Aggregate demand function can be also described as aggregate demand schedule or aggregate demand price. This is because it is a schedule or a list of amounts of income of all the entrepreneurs expect to receive from the sale of their products at different levels of employment. There exists a positive relationship between the level of employment and aggregate demand function. When the volume of employment rises, aggregate demand function will increase. This is because when more number of workers are employed, production and income of the entrepreneurs will increase. Conversely, when the volume of employment decreases, aggregate demand price will come down. Thus, aggregate demand function is directly dependent upon the level of employment. The following equation brings out the relationship that exists between aggregate demand price and the volume of employment. ADF will equal to function of M. In the above equation, ADF will equal to aggregate demand function or expected level of entrepreneurs. L will equal to volume of employment. The above equation indicates the volume of employment in the economy determines aggregate demand function. Let us know how aggregate supply function operates. The aggregate supply function represents the expenditure in the undertaken enterprise when the capital and labor are being used during the process of production. It refers to the amount of income the entrepreneurs in the economy must receive from the sale of their products at different levels of employment. Entrepreneurs undertake production by employing laborers and other determines production. Labor and other factors of production have to be paid. This payment represents the cost of production. In other words, entrepreneurs incur cost of production by paying wages and other types of rewards to the factors of production. When the entrepreneurs employ labor and other factors of production in the process of production, they will have in view the return they must get from the factors of production. Minimum level of income is essential to employ the factors of production. Entrepreneurs will be motivated to employ labor and other factors of production only when they are sure they could recover the money they have spent to employ the factors in production. In total, aggregate supply function represents the total cost to be incurred by the entrepreneurs to employ laborers in the production system. To employ the labor, minimum labor price or income is needed. Only when they are sure of getting this income or price, they will exhibit the interest to employ more number of workers. Hence, aggregate supply function is also called as aggregate supply schedule. This is because it indicates the list of amounts of income entrepreneurs in the economy must receive from the sale of their output at different levels of employment. Can be referred to as aggregate supply price, since this is the minimum price motivating the entrepreneurs to provide employment of a specific level. In other words, aggregate supply price at a certain volume of production means the price in which entrepreneurs are prepared or indeed to supply at that level of goods. Different supply prices exist at each level of employment. These prices are essential to induce entrepreneurs to provide that level of employment. If the income of the entrepreneurs get from the sale of their products, they would be highly indeed beneficial. On the other hand, employment and laborers will have more beneficial. Let us know that how the determinants of equilibrium level of employment will take place at the different levels. The above analysis indicates that aggregate demand function represents income of the entrepreneurs and suggests supply function represents the expenditure incurred at the different levels. As long as income exceeds the entrepreneur's employment level, and more income will be achieved at the different levels. At that level of employment in which income and entrepreneurs become equal, and entrepreneurs will have more advantages. At this point, expenditure exceeds income, entrepreneurs of the employment level, labor and different levels. Therefore, demand in the determinants at the equilibrium level, aggregate demand function and aggregate supply function. How we should know that these kind of programs will function? Consumption function, consumption expenditure, income function of investment expenditure and the effective demand and consumption expenditure. To know more of effective demand at the different levels, there is a need to understand the consumption function. Consumption function or propensity to consume express the relationship between aggregate income and aggregate expenditure. Aggregate consumption expenditure increases with the increase in aggregate income, but increase in consumption will be less than proportionate increase in income. As a result of this, there is a gap between income and expenditure of the economy. When you think of investment function, Keynesian has advocated the filling up of the gap between income and consumption through investment. Investment function expresses the functional relations between income and investment. The volume of investment is determined by two factors. They are marginal efficiency of capital. It can be called as MEC. It represents expected returns from the capital additionally invested. The another one is rate of interest. Rate of interest constitutes a part of cost of production. So we should know how effective demand will have significance. The significance of effective demand are like determinants of employment, reputations of sales off market, reputations of full employment thesis, and role of investment, and there will be more beneficial activities for the policies and programs of the country.